Well, good morning folks, and welcome back to the farm this morning. We have to move these sheeps into the lambing pen, get this electric netting taken down, and then we're gonna put it up right up in here so that, yes, they can graze on our lawn, believe it or not, because we've had such a pasture shortage. We've had no rain. Well, we did get a little bit of rain, but not enough rain. We're actually grazing the animals on our lawn. So that's what we're gonna do here first thing this morning. I gotta remember to turn the Energizer off because, it's gonna get a little spicy on the fingers otherwise, but let's get kicking off. Actually, the other thing we got to do too, I've been draining the swimming pool all night long here. And well, because it's getting down, we're getting close to frost here at night. It's time to get this thing put away. Go on, sheeps. Go back in your pen. You see they've chewed this down quite a bit. Lovely how they spread their manure everywhere. That's one thing I love about sheep versus cows. Cows, big old cow patty right in the center, but sheep disperse it really, really well. Lots of spots. It's gonna help enrich the soil, help this grass recover and grow nice and thick and green. Good morning, piggies. I'll get you breakfast here in a second. Charlotte, are you helping Mommy put the fence posts in? Yeah.
Yay!
Do the next one. Do the next one.
You okay, Elsie? You okay? What's that?
Is that a donkey?
Yeah. Okay, donkey.
You watering the trees? Yeah, thank you. Well, as you can see down there, yes, we got the swimming pool dismantled and it's now in the shop and it's draped over Carmen's car. You know, today's one of those days where it's absolutely gorgeous outside, and I had really hoped we'd be able to just drape this over something outdoors. But the trade-off on the sunshine is that there's no wind, and so it's kind of a catch-22, right? We get nice weather, but it's not windy, so the water won't evaporate. But if it was windy, then the darn pool liner would probably, well, it would belong to the neighbors in no time. But anyways, it's down, it's in the shop. We got the ceiling fan going. Hopefully by this evening I can fold this thing up, or maybe even tomorrow, get it folded up, put it in a box, and get it put away for the year. Anyways, before I run off and go feed the pigs here, I just thought I'd share a bit of a thought here this evening. I've been just seeing lots of stuff, you know, floating around about how everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but lots of people are obviously pretty concerned with fairness and equity and equality in the world today. And some folks are saying, well, you know, this person has this advantage, or this person has that advantage, or they're born with this and I'm not born with that, so therefore I'm at a disadvantage. And I thought, well, that's kind of nonsense, because I mean, the theory is that we're all technically created equal. So what does that look like? Well, we're all given the same sun to shine down on our back, the same dirt beneath our feet, and the same air in our lungs. And really, it's up to us what we do with those three things. And so the three things we can really do with that is we can pout and whine and complain thinking that somebody else has something that we don't. Or, you know, okay, well, if we're looking at a certain skill set or a certain advantage, well, if somebody's really good at one thing that you're not good at, then I guess you could spend a lot of time and effort trying to get good at that thing that they're good at, so that then you're on an equal playing field. But I mean, the reality is if everybody did that, you'd probably have a lot of people that were really mediocre at an awful lot of stuff. Or you could just recognize that it's perfectly fine, that to actually have inequality is, in many cases, perfectly fine to have. If you're really good at something, but I suck at that thing, but maybe I'm really good at something that you suck at, that's fine. Now, if I can convert what I'm really good at into a cost for labor kind of thing, and you can do the same, then maybe we can trade, or maybe we can barter, or maybe we can exchange monetary or goods or whatever it might be, right? The same is true in the homestead setting. And I see this, you know, from time to time. Well, this person has goats and they're able to milk their goats, and oh man, I wish I had some goats. And you fail to recognize all the effort that really has to go in to keep them goats from licking the paint off the roof of your truck, because you got to keep them fenced in. But, well, you know what? Your neighbor has goats. Well, if you've got chickens, well, maybe, Maybe he can't keep chickens, or he wishes he had chickens. But you know what? If you got together and you said, well, I'll trade you some eggs and you trade me some cheese or some milk or something like that, and we could actually be, that's what fair and equitable really means, is you play to the things you're good at. You don't necessarily want to be as good as everybody else. You're just good at what you're good at, and they're good at what they're good at, and you turn that into some form of a transaction, and everybody wins. But you know what? Unfortunately, there's always going to be a few people out there that, despite everything that's available to them, all the resources, all the opportunities, they're just going to be downright determined to go absolutely nowhere in life. And it's always going to be somebody else's fault but their own. And they're always thinking, oh, that guy's crooked, or that guy's, you know, he's doing something shady, or that's why he's got something so much better than me. And they fail to recognize that they're just turning their skill set into something that, you know, can be converted to value. Now, you might think that's crazy. You might think, you know, there's folks out there that just have, you know, superhuman talent, that are way more at an advantage than other people, or maybe they're born with a silver spoon in their mouth that other folks just can't even begin to compete with. Okay, well, let's look at those two options. So look at Michael Jordan's a really good example of this, right? Everybody can agree, probably the greatest basketball player of all time. Do you know that? He was cut from his high school basketball team, right? He almost didn't make it. Now, how did he go from being cut from his high school basketball team to becoming what is, you know, the greatest basketball player of all time? Well, he didn't sit there and say, you know, well, this person was better than me, or that person was better than me. What he did is he went to the gym and he worked out, and every time he was getting tired, he just closed his eyes and he thought of the list in the high school at the gym and his name not being on the list. He focused inward, and then he continued to do more until he became the best. Now, on the monetary side, you know, okay, well, let's look at wealth. Well, Walt Disney, you know, failed initially with his first firm and couldn't pay his staff, got a bank loan, got part way through making Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, was like right back to just pretty much, you know, completely penniless, but just hammered down, got, you know, did what he had to do. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs came out, catapulted the Disney Brothers company to absolute stardom. And so you look at the folks that are millionaires or billionaires that lose it all, you don't see them sleeping in the ditch forever. Absolutely not, because they're just, their brain isn't wired that way. They don't stay at the bottom, right? And sometimes there are folks out there that just stay at the bottom, and they constantly look upwards and they point their finger and they say that, you know, they don't recognize that there's something within them that they can do to get themselves to crawl out of whatever it is, that hole. They're just sitting there with a shovel, and instead of cutting a set of stairs in so they can dig themselves out of it, they sit there and just dig deeper and dig deeper and dig deeper, and they look up at the people above and they just say, oh, this is your fault, this is your fault, and they drown in self-pity instead of actually doing something about it. So of course they tell you all this, not in any way, shape, or form out of meanness or to, you know, rub something into anybody that's maybe on rock bottom right now. Trust me, I've been there. I've been licking the bottom of the barrel, absolutely, myself more than once, and had my own fair share of financial concerns and my own fair share of envy and jealousy. But really, this is just to say, you know what, if you are struggling with a thing, there's an opportunity for you to recognize what you have, and that you have the skill set and the ability to turn that into an advantage for yourself and to crawl back out of that hole. And the only way to do it is to look inward to yourself and not focus on what everybody else has or what anybody else is doing. Just focus on what you have and what you can do with it. But anyways, on that note, as you can see, it's getting kind of dark out, and I do need to go fetch up a cup of tea. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.